This is Peter J. Pollack, MD, with Medical Practice Trends Podcast, and our guest today is Dr. Joseph Kim, President of Medical Communications Media Incorporated. Welcome, Joseph.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
Our topic today is non-clinical career opportunities for physicians. That's kind of an intriguing topic. Tell us a little more about that.
Sure. For one thing, although I have a medical degree and I've worked in the clinical setting and so forth, for the last 6 years of my life, I've been full-time non-clinical executive, if you will, working in the business world. And over the years, I found that a number of physicians are looking for information. They want answers about what else could they do if they were to leave clinical medicine. What are the career opportunities for them, be it whether they want to work full-time or part-time? Do they work for a major corporation like a pharmaceutical company? Do they go to work at a health plan? What else could they do? And I realized that these questions were very common questions, but there were not too many answers out there. So I created a site called nonclinicaljobs.com. And if you just type in non-clinical jobs or non-clinical careers into a search engine, it'll be one of the first sites that'll pop up. And I created it primarily to be a free informational resource, predominantly for physicians, but a lot of the information applies to other healthcare professionals as well, who are interested in learning about the different types of career opportunities that are out there. If they wanted to do something on the side, if they wanted to retire from clinical medicine and pursue a second career in some kind of a non-clinical area or an area of business, or if they wanted to blend the two or just make a total career transition altogether, even if they're not ready to retire. I just wanted to write about the different kinds of opportunities that are out there. So I created the site several years ago. It's grown over the years. Now we have almost 2,000 fans on Facebook. We have a group on LinkedIn. So we're leveraging a lot of social media as well to get the word out that this is a free informational resource that's out there to let people know what their options are if they wanted to find employment opportunities outside of clinical medicine.
Are you finding anecdotally that there's a lot of interest in non-clinical careers among physicians these days?
It seems to me like the interest is growing predominantly because the discussions around healthcare reform seem to be driving more physicians to want to retire early. That coupled with all these talks about electronic health records and the HITECH Act and the HITECH provisions, for physicians who are not really ready to make that kind of investment, they're not ready to disrupt their practice workflow and to make all these changes and to implement everything, they're thinking, well, what else could I do? How could I retire early or generate some supplemental income? That coupled with yet another factor, which is reimbursement. Physicians are having a harder time with reimbursement. Their margins are shrinking. There's delays in repayment or in payment. And so they're looking for opportunities to make some supplemental income while they maintain their clinical practice. When we look at all those forces that are happening today in the healthcare environment of the United States, I am finding that there are a growing number of physicians who are interested in non-clinical opportunities.
So if one Googles business opportunities, there's literally hundreds or thousands of websites on how to make money from your laptop and your underwear, things like that. I guess probably the biggest barrier for physicians is they have a lot to lose by taking a risk. In your case, for example, it must have been kind of a big leap of faith to say, I'm leaving medicine full time.
It was a big transition, and exactly to that point, I find that a lot of people ease their way into a transition where they start doing some things on the side while they are working clinically, then they scale back on the clinical side while they build up their business, so to speak, and those are more the entrepreneurial types of physicians where they're often juggling many things, wearing different hats. The other common scenario is, for instance, we'll take the example of physicians who want to raise a family, and therefore they take a leave of absence. And then they find that they have some time on their hands and they start finding opportunities where they can work, not in a clinical setting, but in some other setting. Perhaps they are working out of their home or they're working wearing slippers or underwear, whatever you want to say that these different entrepreneurs are using to market themselves. And at the end of the day, you find that there are many different groups of doctors out there who find themselves in situations looking for alternative careers. Some physicians, frankly, lose their ability to practice either through disability or they lose their medical license or they lose hospital privileges. Others never even get the opportunity because they trained internationally, then they were not able to find a residency in the United States. Therefore, they've got these skill sets, but they're not really able to apply them in the traditional sense, so then they go out into the world of business. So I have encountered people in almost every possible scenario, and there's sort of everyone in between as well. But I find that in general, physicians are not the most business-savvy types of people. They have traditionally trained in sciences, so they're very analytical thinkers, they're very scientific. But then you throw them into the business world where they have to sort of learn a lot of things on their own, work on different kind of skill sets, and many of them have wrong assumptions, or they really find themselves lost in terms of knowing exactly how they ought to go about the process. And that's part of the reason why I created this site, to really be a resource for people to help guide them and navigate them through this process of transitioning into a non-clinical job.
Great. So can you tell us again the name of the website and how they could contact you?
Sure. So the site is simply non-clinicaljobs. It's all one word, nonclinicaljobs.com. And if you go to the site, it lists my information, my contact information. It also lists a number of other resources that are very valuable. One in particular is the American College of Physician Executives, ACPE, which is a great resource and a society out there for physicians who are interested in business and medical management. Another group is a new group called the Society of Physician Entrepreneurs. And that's particularly for physicians who have that kind of creative entrepreneurial mindset. You don't necessarily need to leave clinical medicine, but that's another group, SOPE, S-O-P-E, Society of Physician Entrepreneurs. And I also list a number of career coaches and mentors on nonclinicaljobs.com who are available to answer questions, to even provide some coaching and counseling for physicians who are interested in making that kind of career transition.
Well, great. Well, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.